9, 8.
You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Hello, everybody. It's hot. And I don't mean like, oh, it's a little warm. It's 106 here. And we're in California, so it's muggy as hell, too. And JD feels me, because JD is also down here in Southern California. It's not pleasant. It's not nice. But hey, I'm here to do a show. So we're going to get started. And if any points I fall out of my chair and pass out from the heat, go ahead and stick around for the other shows. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Wow, that just ends. Doesn't even tail off. Just goes, it's Dan. I mean, I'm Dan, and I don't want to be that abruptly entered. All right, guys. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is hot. It is Thursday, September something. Maybe 4th. Who knows? It's 4th? No, it's the 5th. That shows you where I'm at. Okay, so hello to Ed, hello to Triple B, and to Kenneth. So I get theirs first. I don't see the show. Makes no sense. Weird. Yeah, it's definitely the Gremlins. So, all right, guys, we have a boat ton of news, and then we got a topic about a superhero in the Marvel Universe that you probably haven't heard of. And if you have, damn. So, all right, let's get into it with the news. All right, first up, one of my favorite shows, hello, Lorena, is Only Murders in the Building. Season 4 has just kicked off. I haven't watched it yet. I want to get a couple episodes in and then jump in and start getting into the mystery. And they've added some great characters this season. But the news came out that they've already renewed it for season 5, just as season 4 is stopping. And the reason that's kind of weird is because they did that with season 2, 3, 4. We're only 3 years into this show, and we're currently getting the 4th season. I mean, we get all these other shows on the air, and it's like, oh, we just had a season of The Bear. When's the next one? 3 years from now. What? No, now it's, oh, here's another one. Here's another. So maybe they're, because of the lead actors are elderly, maybe they're trying to get as many out as possible. I don't know. But yeah, so the season 4 has kicked off. It will run through October 29th, which will be the season finale. Yeah, there'll be 10 episodes in season 5. It has Steve Martin, Selena Gomez, and Martin Short returning. Season 4, though, is added. I mean, Meryl Streep came back. First thing, they got Meryl Streep in the first place, which is hilarious, or is great. But they got her to come back. Jane Lynch is in it. But also this season, you get Eugene Levy, Zach Galifianakis, Ava Longoria, Richard Kind, who I think was the model for Colin Farrell playing the Penguin, Melissa McCarthy, Kumail Nanjiani, and Molly Shannon. Those are additions to the cast. So check it out. It's on Hulu, or if you have Disney Plus, you probably have access to it as well. So, yeah, Jane Lynch was in it. No spoilers, JD. All right, moving on. If you were a fan of Anne Rice, and I was when I was younger, in my late teens and early 20s, I read a lot of her books. Kind of weaned away from them after a while. But the third series in the franchise, Anne Rice's The Talamasca, has been greenlit in June to join Interview with a Vampire and Mayfair Witches. So AMC is going full in on the Anne Rice stuff. Now, it's described as a drama focused on a secret society called the Talamasca that is featured in many of Rice's novels. The 6-episode season will focus on the men and women responsible for tracking and containing the witches, vampires, and other. So these are the monster hunters. Now, Nicholas Denton from Dangerous Liaisons and Glitch has been cast as the lead guy, Guy Anatole. Yep, the lead guy is a guy named Guy. A character who is, of course, brilliant, handsome, and sharp on the surface, but he's always known his mind works a little differently. Now, Guy's on the cusp of graduating law school, is approached by a representative for the Talamasca because, you need a law degree to hunt vampires, a secret agency that monitors and protects us from the supernatural world. When Guy learns that the Talamasca has been tracking him since his childhood, he falls headlong into a world of secret agents and immortal beings who, up till now, have maintained a fragile balance with the mortal world. But for that balance to hold and for Guy to survive, he will have to learn to embrace the dark, treacherous depths of his true and singular self. Yep, it is slated for a 2025 premiere on AMC and AMC Plus, with production beginning next month in Manchester, England. And it says Melissa McCarthy is such a good actress that she made me hate her. I hated her character in Identity Theft so much. I can't stand seeing her now. I know it's stupid, but I can't help it. The movie she was in that surprised me, I don't remember the title of it, but it's the one where it's her, she's a cop, but her partner's a puppet, and they're on a murder mystery, and it's got really raunchy humor and stuff, and it's surprisingly funny. What was the name of the vampire shot? I missed it. The Talamasca is the new show. Vampire Lestat. Interview with the Vampire and Mayfair Witches are the other two series. Okay, moving on. The Happy Time Murders. Thank you. It's funnier than it ever should have been. George R. Martin, I mentioned it during the news on Tuesday, but George R. Martin finally came out and said what his problem with the House of the Dragons is. And it's a little pedantic, personally. But I get it from a writer's point of view, but I think from a fan point of view, you're going to be like, I don't know. So what he's saying is that the showrunner, Ryan Cottle, made a change in the story from the original book, Fire and Blood. And Martin strongly disagrees with it. What it is that, let me get my notes here. He says, in Martin's view, that he has already weakened the adaptation in season 2 and will cause much greater problems in season 3 and 4. While Condos has said that it will end in season 4, which is a change from the original plan to go 5 seasons. At first glance, the change seems rather minor. In the show, Aegon and Helena have 2 children, 6-year-old twins, Jaehaerys and Jahara. In the book, they have 3 children. There's a younger brother, 2-year-old Maelor. Now, in a sprawling show that many characters, you wouldn't think that was important, but having one less child. But, according to Martin, it's kind of like a butterfly effect of consequences. The most immediate consequence was altering Blood and Cheese, which is the sequence in the season 2 premiere where the 2 hired thugs killed Jaehaerys in front of his mother. In the book, the sequence was more grueling, kind of a Sophie's Choice moment, where Helena was forced to choose among her 3 children. She picks Maelor to spare her twins, and then Blood and Cheese killed Jaehaerys instead. In the book, Helena offers her life to try to save her children. In the show, she tries to bribe them. Now, while Martin still finds the sequence powerful, he notes, I still believe the scene in the book is stronger. The readers have the right of that. The 2 killers are crueler in the book. I thought the actor who played the killers on the show were excellent, but the characters are crueler, harder, and more frightening in Fire and Blood. I would also suggest that Helena shows more courage, more strength in the book by offering her own life to spare her son. Offering a piece of jewelry is just not the same. As I saw it, the Sophie's Choice aspect was the strongest part of the sequence. the darkest, most visceral. I hated to lose that. And judging from the comments online, most of the fans seem to agree. Now, Martin went on to say that a number of the future scenes will no longer work because Maelor doesn't exist in this adaptation. So that's his big complaint. So that was him spilling the tea that he had talked about the other day. All right. Moving over to X-Men 97 and Bruce DeMeo. Well, the battle between them has kind of escalated and gone just beyond the comic book theme company to it's actually going after Disney now. So they're not going after Marvel, DeMeo and his lawyer. They're going after Disney. Brian Friedman, who's handled some of the Hollywood's biggest wrongful termination cases in the past, now represents DeMeo. He has issued a statement to the press after his client claimed on social media that he lost season 2 credit on X-Men over sharing gay pride themed fan art. That was countered by Marvel. They said, no, that's not why he was fired. And they reported that he had misconduct investigation, egregious nature, Well, the DeMeo was investigated for alleged sexual misconduct, and the credit removal was due to breaches of the two sides' separation agreement. Friedman did not address those issues. He just kind of brushed over those and said that he referred to as illegal multiple times, saying, having much experience with Disney, the playbook is always the same. Family friendly on the outside, but secretly attempting to plan illegal, unconscionable items in contracts that silence the truth and stop the employee customer from asserting basic constitutional rights. As we will explain through detailed examples, which we will roll out in detail one by one, Disney's model is very clear and repetitive illegal pattern. Once it gets challenged or exposed, the gaslighting and redirection of the blame towards anyone willing to tell the truth starts through an international well-oiled publicity machine. He says that Bruce DeMeo wants nothing from Marvel or DC except the truth, and he will bravely tell the truth, so will I stand by. So basically what he's doing is he's not going to address the issues that Marvel and Disney say he was fired for. He's going to address the contract that he was in, saying that was the illegal part. So in a sense, he's not going to argue the case. He's going to argue the contract. Kind of interesting. And this might be the only approach he has because of, what has happened. I don't know. Yeah, he kind of wants to call Disney the mafia. Yep. All right, fans of Reacher, I got some good news for you. Prime Video wants to turn this thing into a franchise, and in doing so, they have fast-tracked in development a spin-off of Reacher starring Neely, the one friend that Reacher seems to have. Now, Maria Sten would play the character. Francis Neely, a corporate security professional and former military colleague of Jack Reacher in the Army's 110 Special Investigation Unit. Richardson is set to appear in the spinoff as a guest star, of course, playing Reacher. Sources say Reacher executive producer and showrunner Nick Santora will develop the Mothership series based on Lee Child's books, has teamed with Nicholas Wooten, with whom he previously worked on Prison Break. So to develop, executive produce, and co-showrun Neely. So they have the guy that's doing Reacher, plus they're adding the guy he used to work with on Prison Break. That seems like a good match to me. All right. Yeah, I love her too. She's great. And it's interesting to me because she wasn't in the novel that they did the first season off of. They added her. But she was definitely in the second season novel. So it's interesting that they're kind of making her a recurring character. Yeah, they're doing kind of the stuff that Lee Childs didn't want to do, but I think it works. So, all right, moving on. Matt Reeves is getting ready to start production on the Batman 2 and is teasing what to expect from the sequel. He said, the plan is to shoot next year, and we're finishing up the script now. Now, he was talking to Sci-Fi or SFX magazine in the upcoming October issue. He says, Colin Farrell will be part of the movie. We've shared the script as we've been going with DC and the student. They seem super excited. Now, talking about the Penguin, which stars Farrell, of course, he refers to it as an entry point to the Batman sequel. So, again, if you're only iffy if you want to watch the Penguin, it sounds like it's going to be an important bridge between the two movies, the original and the sequel. He says it's absolutely connected to where we leave things in the series. There are details that actually connect right into the way the next movie begins and the way that Oz enters that world as we hand the baton back to Batman, and Batman's on another case. Now, the director said that he wants these stories to be a meditation on the way Gotham is the way it is. It's such a brutal place, and we're digging for the answers as to why people live this way. He added that Batman 2 is going to dig into the epic story about deeper corruption, and it goes into places that he couldn't anticipate in the first one. The seeds of where this goes are all in the first movie, and it expands in a way that will show you aspects of the character you never got to see. Now that, of course, gives me two possible ideas. Hush, which is definitely set up, and Court of Owls. So either of those could be where he's going. I don't know. Now, Batman, according to him, Batman is constantly battling these forces, but those forces can't be entirely exercised. So the next movie delves deeper into that. Now, DC comic fans, of course, they've been kind of rumbling online that they'd like to see the Gentleman Ghost in it since his appearance in the Batman the Cape Crusader animated series. And filmmaker Matt Reeves kind of said, no, it's not going to happen. He says, what was important to me was to find a way to take these pop icons, these mythical characters that everybody knows, and translate it so that Gotham feels like a place in our world. We might push to the edge of the fantastical, but we would never go into full fantastical. It's meant to feel quite grounded. It doesn't mean you won't see characters that people love. That's exactly what we want to do. Gentleman Ghost is probably pushed a bit too far for us to be able to find a way to do that. But there is a fun way to think about how we would take characters that might push over into a bit of the fantastical and find a way to make that make sense. So he's not ruling out all the fantastical characters, but according to him, Gentleman Ghost is a little too far. All right, moving on. We got one more news story, then we'll take a break. Alison Brie will be joining the cast of the upcoming Masters of the Universe. She will be playing Evil Lynn for Amazon MGM Studios and Mattel Films. Brie joins an ensemble that's led by Nicholas Galitzine, who's playing Prince Adam or He-Man. Also, Camila Mendez is on board to play Tila, the warrior who's captain of Eternia's Royal Guard, and is kind of responsible for protecting the royal family and Prince Adam. Now, part of the Masters of the Universe, Evil Lynn was part of the Masters of the Universe franchise from the early days. She was introduced by way of both Mattel's toy line and the animated series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, back in 1983. She's a sorceress with formidable magical abilities. She's one of the most trusted and powerful allies of Skeletor. All right, guys. So we're going to take a break here, and we'll come back. I'll do a quick scan of the news site, see if anything I missed, and then we'll come back and talk about the Marvel character you probably never heard of. Be right back.
Download our app on Google Play and the App Store. It's so simple, even my mommy can use it.
Ask your local comic shop to add Battle Quest comics to your pull list today. Boring old Tuesday. Kick it!
Hey, let's get to it.
Henri Copen scours collections and comic shops to bring you the biggest deals on beautiful comics.
I'm very eager to sell these books.
Plus, he smashes those other boring sales shows. Henri's got fire, excitement, personality, key books, Momo books,
Sexy Momo books for you.
a cute dog, weird accents,
69, bro.
a wheel of skid bark.
We do wheel spins at the end of every show.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll score huge bargains.
That is Hawk 2 of magic right there, all right?
Kicking it with Henri, Tuesday nights, part of the experience.
Hey, it's hot. Okay, there was one other bit of news. Remember to stick around for What's in the Box and Geek Chat and SketchUp. They're all on the show tonight, or on the network today. Ed, I completely agree with you. I'm glad they're keeping it. It says, I'm glad they're keeping it real world and not bringing in superpowered villains or anything too far out. That's why I love the Batman so much. It's a real world based detective movie. I agree. No, it's not the AC is broken. It's that it's 106 and it's really high humidity. So the AC can only do so much. You know? So, but there was one other bit of news story. I put it in the wrong section of notes, so I missed it. On social media this morning, James Gunn announced that the Creature Commandos will be debuting on December 5th on Max. Now, this is the first entry into the whole Gods and Monsters chapter driven by Gunn and his new co-head of DC Studios, Peter Safran. It's going to feature the voice talents of Frank Grillo, who you know as Brock Rumlow or Crossbones in the Marvel Universe, David Harbour from Stranger Things, or Red Guardian from Marvel, Maria Bakalova, Indira Varma, Zoe Chow, Alan Tudyk, who you probably know from everything. Man's in everything. Sean Gunn, who of course is in every James Gunn movie, being that they're brothers, and Steve Agee. They'll all be voicing characters. The animated series, of course, is connected to the Suicide Squad, and we know that because we see in the trailer that Amanda Waller has been restricted from using human prisoners as soldiers anymore, the Task Force X job, so she decides to use monsters. Yep, that's Amanda Waller. So, all right, guys, let's get into... There's a Marvel character that I'd like to introduce you to. Now, he's been around for 35 years. And he took part in one of the biggest crossover events in Marvel history. And the odds are, you probably never heard of him. You probably don't know his name. You've never heard him say anything in the comics. That character's name is Electron. We can just leave this guy up for a while. Now, the character's, he's got a pretty interesting history, and this is according to the Marvel write-ups and stuff. His name is Thomas Samuel, born in El Centro, California, and he was crippled by a mutant case of polio and wheelchair-bound for most of his life. But he regained mobility after receiving powers from a benevolent alien from a race who looked for worthy people to be granted such gifts. Now, Thomas began his superhero career as the superhero Electron by encountering a group of thieves, and not knowing his powers really well, he seriously harmed them because he was still testing his powers. So he, of course, realized he needed training, stuff like that. So he trained and he pursued his actions, rescuing people during a clash between It, the Living Colossus, and invading Stonians. He almost attended Dollar Bill's Defenders for a day, but was diverted by the Crime Buster and Janus the Golden Angel when saving bystanders from debris. Helping them to help bystanders during the Star Wars cosmic crisis, he moved to New York and battled Schizoid Man over New York for almost 3 hours. After a rough start as a hero, and with the Avengers and the X-Men basically decimated by the Masters of Evil and the Marauders, he decided to retire. He married his sweetheart, Mary Jo Besselo, who was a party clown and was his longtime crush, and adopted her son Nathan from her earlier relationship and moved to Pennsylvania. Now, Thomas, you're right, never heard of him. Thomas became an English teacher, and the couple had twins, Martin and Ryder, while Tom and Mary Jo's second honeymoon happened in Ireland. Yandroth came back to Earth 616 with Vilox and techno-organic beings from Earth 8545. And despite the Irish hero's kinsman effort, Mary Jo, among a few other people, were infected and vanished when Yandroth's spell was nullified or left Earth. So basically what happened was she was turned into a robot by the spell, and when the spell was reversed, it took all of the Vitox back with them, and she basically had become a member of the Vilox. So now he's a single dad with 3 kids. Now, because of his lack of training, Electron was unable to help, and so he trained back, traveling the world to find knowledge for him to rescue Mary Jo and redeem his failures. During Civil War, Electron came to New York to consult other heroes, but was arrested by Iron Man and Spider-Man and the NYPD, along with Phone Ranger, Lightbright, and Wildstreak, as he was in violations of Superhero Registration Act, as he had not signed it. He was among the other heroes freed from the Negative Zone Prison 42 and battled with the Secret Avengers in the streets of Manhattan. Just go with me on this. This is official Marvel write-up. He hasn't been seen after Captain America's surrender. It was unknown to the authorities if he had survived the battle, but it was later proved that he had escaped. All right. Now, if you're curious what his powers are, Electron has atomic-powered strength, allowing him to lift 10 tons. He has flight, because he alters his own molecular structure. And he has electron blasting that comes from his hands. He's also immune to these powers, so they don't affect him when he uses them. Now, this is the official history in the continuity of the character Electron, but there's a problem here. See, most of that's made up. Didn't happen. Never appeared in the comics until Civil War. The real history of Electron is a little more interesting, and I've got to tip my hat to a TikTok creator named Sir Superhero, whose video brought this character to my attention, as I had never heard of him either. Now, Sir Superhero has asked that we try to make this character more popular, so I'm doing that by talking about him here. So, what's the real story on Electron? Because he is a Marvel character, and he is about 35 years old. Or he's been around for 35 years. So how did this character come to be? Well, back in the 1980s, Marvel was producing a magazine called The Marvel Age. And it was a fan-made catalog, but they had a calendar on the back of events. They had previews, they had news stories, and every once in a while they would do joke segments. This might have been an April Fool's issue. It came out, it's dated for January 1987, but that might have come out, you know, how the dates things work. So it might have been an April Fool's thing, but this was Marvel Age number 49 from 1987. Yeah, this is what happened is in the book, there is an article highlighting the Marvel comics from 1974, except they weren't real comics. There was a price guide and all this stuff, but they were for fake books. And one of the books they drew a cover for was Astonishing Tales number 22, which was supposed to introduce the character Electron, except for there was no Astonishing Tales number 22. This was put together by Shelley Fish and James Fry III, and the article was for fun, like I said. And it had a price guide for the books, and that was supposed to be that. It was just a joke. So let's just be clear. Electron never appeared in any Marvel comics other than the Marvel Age until 2006. So what happened in 2006? Civil War. Marvel launched Civil War. Can you see him up there? Up there in the top corner? JD, can we get a closer look? Thank you. There's Electron, right there, in the middle of Civil War. Now, among the books published in the event was a book called Frontline, which showed how heroes and civilians were reacting to the events of the superhero Civil War. Now, this would have been a great place to introduce the character, give him backstory, a little time like that, but no. The character shows up in 2 panels, is basically seen looking at the back of his head as he's on the ground, has no dialogue, and is being taken in. That's it. That's his only appearance in that book. So he's move on, and we get Civil War number 5, which is where this takes place, or number 6. And he's part of this big team-up battle scene. He has no dialogue. He's not in any other panel. He's just here. One shot. He's basically the equivalent of an extra in a crowd scene in a movie. And he seems to be there to have just kind of more heroes in the shot. Again, he's not defined. He doesn't appear in any other panels in the book. His third appearance is in a Spider-Man comic that is set in the aftermath of Civil War, and Electron appears in one large team-up shot in a battle where he's not identified, nor does he speak. And he doesn't appear anywhere else. And that is his last comic appearance to date. 2 panels. Dan, how in the world did you come up with him as a topic for today? I have to give credit to, like I said, the TikToker, Sir Superhero. He's the one that brought us to attention and is asking people to try to make this guy a little more popular. And I think he wants to do it to kind of mess with Marvel. You know, if suddenly everybody's doing fan art and fan fiction and talking about this guy, Marvel's going to go, wait, what? Because we're not even sure Marvel knows that they've done all this. But so all of that backstory I read, all of that detail, where does that come from, right? This is where it gets even more fun. He has an entry in the Marvel official handbook to the Marvel Universe that took place in the A to Z update number 3. That's him at the top. He made the cover. Now, this came out, and basically what they did was, in 1987, when they did the fake comic cover, they did a synopsis for the book, and they took a lot of that information, and then whoever wrote that entry just expanded on it, made stuff up. All the villains he's said to have fought are real Marvel villains. Now, I don't know about Lightbright and Wild Streak, but the Living Colossus and what was another guy, the Schizo or whatever it is. Yeah, real guys. So they made it as real as possible. And again, this is it. That's all we know about it. It's the only appearances. So, I mean, to basically recap, in 1987, as a joke, someone created a fake comic cover for an article. Then almost 20 years later, someone else decided to drop that fake hero into a giant crossover in 3 different team shots. Every time they did a team shot, and this isn't the same artist. These were 3 different writer-artist combinations that ended up putting this guy in. Now, I think it's supposed to be the same shot, so maybe the other 2 artists looked at the first guy and went, oh, I don't have him in here. Oh, I didn't put him in here. I don't know. I'd love to know how he ended up in Civil War. But, and then someone came along and made the big hit. I don't even know if he was supposed to be listed or if someone just decided, hey, this will be fun. Let's put him in. There needs to be like one of those conspiracy theory chalkboards or whiteboards with the pictures and the red things to really figure out why this character exists. It's like the best inside joke of all time that was kept a secret for 35 years. And because of that, like I said, Sir Superhero is calling on comic fans to help turn it up. And I'm all for that. So if you're an artist, if you write fan fiction, have fun with Electron. All of your information that you need, his backstory, his powers, that's all there. There's a couple images of him on there. Go to town. And because of so wouldn't that be fun though? If we could make this guy a big part of the pop culture? I don't know. I think it's hilarious that there's this character that nobody knows that suddenly appeared. And it says, do you know who created him and drew him first? He kind of reminds me of Captain Planet with that grin and glowing hands. He's credited to Shawley Fish and James Fry III. Shawley Fish writes a lot of comical stuff for Marvel back in that day. He didn't do a lot of the serious books, but he did like the Foom books and stuff like that. Or I think he did a Boxino the Clown or Four Bush Man, those type of things. So it was obviously a joke. I mean, that's the key. It was obviously a joke, but somehow it's just kind of kept going. And now we're 35 years later. I hope he shows up in the Marvel Universe. I want to see a live action Electron. Wouldn't that be awesome? Let's make a lot. Should we write his number 1? Ooh, good question. Let me think about that. That's a possibility. Yeah, let me get back to you on that one. All right, guys, we're going to take another break. When we come back, I got one other thing we can talk about, and then we might end the show early, might not. We'll see how the discussion goes, but we'll be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Symphonic verses, Nocturne's romance. A song of romanticized darkness, dreaming death by sleep.
So, the show is called The Geek Chat. And really, there's just a couple of geeks.
I'm Rich.
I'm Dez.
And we are your hosts for this weekly guide into comic bookery and all the geeky stuff that goes with it.
And that pretty much says it all. They talk about the latest movies and shows.
Okay, I'll be completely honest with you. Overall, D+ movie.
So the end. Did you know who that is?
That's She-Ra, yeah.
Yes.
The new #1 comics of the week.
We rep Samuel Jackson and we rep Mace Windu.
I passed on this. I was like...
No regrets.
No regrets. I really wanted to like this book. I really did. Like, I really did.
And just chat with each other. And with you.
Oh, Daniel says, I dosed off with the first one. I have zero interest in the Joker Harley ship, not Harley herself. Enjoy, not for me. Yeah, this movie's going to be rough for me to sit through, I'll be honest.
The Geek Chat, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Just a couple of honest geeks.
Let's be honest. Come on.
And that is why people watch us, because we're honest.
Giving their honest opinions.
And the thing you always have to remember about the internet is everyone has an opinion, and they all suck.
Part of the experience.
You know what we could do, JD? We could do that old Monty Python trick. Start the show and then quietly get it softer and softer and softer and softer and softer. And then when everybody turns their volumes up, then we yell. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We got one thing left to talk about today, and that is an old Marvel show. See, I've been hearing so much negativity about Marvel lately. You know, that, oh, this movie sucked, that movie sucked, they're going to do a horrible job with this, That, of course, people then, they see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and they go, oh, it's great, but yeah, Marvel sucks right now, Marvel sucks. Deadpool and Wolverine is awesome, but no, Marvel sucks. But there's other good things that Marvel put out since Civil War. And I got a chance to rewatch one last night. My, Lisa's son, Braden, was over. And he was going to head back home. But wanted to wait about an hour to let traffic die down. So I said, well, I know something we could watch that you probably haven't seen that's an hour long. And right for this time of year. He said, what's that? I said, Werewolf by Night. Have you seen it? He goes, no, I haven't. I said, okay, well, let's watch that. It's just an hour. I think you'll like it. And we put on the original black and white version. I know there's a color version. And for some people, that's the way to go. But I'm still a fan of the black and white because it feels like an old Universal Monster movie to me. And we watched it. And he absolutely loved it. He thought it was great. And I so enjoyed rewatching it. Because, I mean, it is really something great they did. They took a theme and they ran with it. They said, okay, let's do our version of a Universal Monster movie. We're going to throw in some Easter eggs. We're going to put Man-Thing in it. We're going to put a live-action Man-Thing. We're going to put Elsa Bloodstone. We're going to put Werewolf by Night. And he's going to have a look like the character in the comics. We're not going to suddenly make him super over-the-top feral like they do in most werewolf movies now. They gave us Werewolf by Night. I love the little things they did in it, the different hunters. To me, it is one of the best things Marvel has done since Endgame. But it got me thinking. I know what they should do with Ghost Rider now. They've been talking about, how are we going to bring back Ghost Rider, da-da-da. I think they should go to either Robert Rodriguez or Quentin Tarantino and tell them to make a grindhouse version of Ghost Rider. Full-on grindhouse. That 70s style color, but the grittiness, the weird camera stuff, just like those old, Faster Pussycat Kill, or, just like I said, the classic grindhouse films from that era. Or look at, was it Death Proof? The stuff that Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did together. JT says, I didn't know that I wanted that till you said it, but yes, exactly. A grindhouse Ghost Rider film. Just the looks you could get, the turning to the camera. And you want to use Nicolas Cage? Go ahead. I think he'd work perfect in Grindhouse. You want to recast? Fine. Ryan Gosling, good. Whatever you want to do, because it becomes the style of film that becomes important. And you do it as a special. You don't need to throw a huge budget at it. Planet Terror, yeah, that's the other one. You don't do it as a huge budget. You just do it as a special. You spend the money on his flaming head. You do everything else as practical as possible, like an old grindhouse movie. I think that would be fantastic. I think you could get real gritty. You could, and certain characters that seem kind of bizarre. Hey, JD, do you still have that Marvel Universe handbook page? Put that up, please. That one. The guy on the motorcycle with the giant eyeball. There's your villain. That's the guy that goes up against Ghost Rider. Has a cult of people that he's taking over, and Ghost Rider has to stop him. There's your movie. Giant eyeball guy versus the flaming skull head. I'm in. I am absolutely in. That is my movie. That is my special. Excuse me. Give me an hour of that. Give it that weird coloring they do, the whole thing. Grindhouse. Do we remember what that guy's name is? Is he the Eye? I think he's the Eye. But I think DC has a guy like that too. That's why I'm confusing. Anyway. So that's what I was thinking after watching it. That's how they should do these. The Orb. Thank you. That's how they should do the horror stuff for Marvel, is go into the classic styles, homage these things because it gets people's attention. You want to do Blade, make him feel like a Hammer horror film, or something like that. Just lean into these things. Yeah. Ghost Rider's Grindhouse is just too perfect. When do we can get that hashtag started? Hashtag Ghost Rider Grindhouse. Let's try that. Shall we? Everybody go out to social media when the show's done. Make a comment and put the hashtag Ghost Rider Grindhouse. And let's see if we can get that started. I know probably not going to work, but hey, what the hell? Let's give it a shot. I'm going to do it. All right, guys. It is literally just too hot around here. So let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for attending, coming in. I hope you guys enjoyed the lecture on Electron. And I will see you next week, where it's supposed to be a lot cooler. And I will see you all then. Have a great week. Stick around for What's in the Box, Sketch Up, and Geek Chat in some order. Good night, everyone.